some good tea right there. Yes, there's actually hot tea in that cup. I know it didn't sound like I was drinking anything, but there's tea in there. Speaking of my cup, isn't it pretty? It has Hogwarts kind of outlined on it. I don't know how well you can see it because of the weird lighting. But yeah, one of my many Wizarding World related Christmas presents. Actually, I only have like one more, I think. Yeah. Anyway, today's video is about Queenie Goldstein. Honestly, the number of comments I've had to read about Queenie being a horrible person has kind of driven me a little bit insane. So, hence the reason for this video. Some of you that are going to be watching know what I'm going to be saying because we are in the same Discord server and we have talked about this. I think it's actually a very important conversation to have, and you'll see why in a minute. Sorry, my throat's a little bit scratchy, hence the tea. So, do I think Queenie's a horrible person? Absolutely not. No, she's not. I'm trying to think of how to put this. I think Queenie was in a very lonely place. She and Tina hadn't been talking. We don't know how long they hadn't been talking. But, I mean, after their parents died, they were pretty much all each other had. And for Queenie to suddenly not have her sister, that's, like, unimaginable to me. Because I know that no matter what happens, I can always rely on my siblings. Always, no matter what. And for Queenie to suddenly lose that because of her relationship with Jacob, yeah, I don't know how else to say it. Really, it's just, ugh. Like, it makes me want to go give Queenie, like, the biggest hug ever. Yep, still pretty hot. So, first off, when Queenie and Jacob show up at Newt's apartment, it hadn't seemed like Queenie really put a whole lot of thought into this whole thing. She basically enchanted Jacob and got on a boat to England and showed up at Newt's house and hadn't even bothered to write to let him know they were coming because he was kind of surprised to see them, especially Jacob, and you would think that that would be something that Queenie would have said in a letter if she was going to let Newt know in advance that they were coming. So I'm kind of wondering what spurred that on. Because, I mean, when people do something like that, just out of the blue, not much thought put into it, there's something wrong, normally. And I think part of it stems from Queenie and Tina not really talking to each other. Yes, I know I'm playing with my hair. It's very soft today. But Queenie and Tina not talking to each other, I think, spurred on what happened with Queenie and Jacob going to London. But yeah, it definitely didn't seem like that she'd put a whole lot of thought into it. She basically enchanted Jacob to make him get on the boat, and they went. And I noticed something, and this jumped out at me the very first time I saw the movie, and it has stayed with me, was during Queenie and Jacob's fight in the street. It didn't seem like Queenie had been sleeping very well. Like, she looked tired, very tired. It kind of looked like she had bags under her eyes, and that happens when you are very tired. Like, haven't slept well in probably a couple weeks. So, I mean, yeah. That is actually a very big symptom of mental problems, like a depression or anxiety. And I know I just worded that absolutely horribly, but suddenly, if you're having trouble getting to sleep, please go see a doctor. Please. I beg you. Um, Especially if there's something going on that's got you kind of upset or stressed or feeling anxious. Um, and I think maybe she feels like there might be something wrong mentally because, I mean, yeah, nobody likes being called crazy, but she seemed to take huge offense to that when Jacob thought she was crazy. Um, 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 I forgot where I was going. Ugh. You see, I have my notes. I have them. So, funny story. When I make my notes for my videos, I give the notes like an actual title. Um, my last one was In Defense of Lita Lestrange, and my notes for Queenie is Queenie needs lots of love. And yes, she does. Um, as you can tell, I'm taking like the sympathetic side to things because, I mean, I really feel like she needs somebody. Um, I have a twin brother who has anxiety and depression, so I mean, it's easier for me to say, oh, this person really needs some friends to look out for her, because I've been able to actually see that in my twin, but I'm starting to notice it a little bit in myself too, and when I do finally get the money to go see a doctor, I'm gonna, because that's important. Take care of your mental health, please. Um, I think maybe some of her anxiety that she's been dealing with in this movie has something to do with her legitimacy. Like, maybe she can't completely process everything that she's hearing. I know in Paris that she can't because she's terrible with other languages. Um, Really, it would be kind of easy for Grindelwald to, like, deceive her because all he would have to do is think in a different language, like German, which I'm pretty sure is his first language anyway. Just from going off of his last name. Um, but yeah, all he would have to do really to keep her from knowing what he's thinking is think in a different language. Um, and people bring up the point of, oh, he shouldn't have been able to fool her that well or that easily, but I mean, when she first met Newt, she even had trouble understanding his thoughts because of his accent. So, I mean, imagine a completely different language that she has no knowledge of. Yeah. Um, and I really do think that she's probably dealing with a lot of anxiety. Maybe she actually does have general anxiety disorder, if I can actually talk today. Um, I think she might possibly have that. I'm not really sure. But, and if not anxiety, then maybe depression. Both of those are very complex, and you can't always spot it for what it is. But I keep going back to that little, like, anxiety attack kind of scene where she's sitting in the street in Paris with her hands over her ears, crying. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was like an anxiety attack. Queenie definitely has a rough go of it in this movie. Definitely. And I'm not saying that what she did to Jacob is right by any means, because it wasn't, but when you have anxiety or depression, you're not thinking clearly. Queenie feels very, very alone, and she doesn't like that. I don't know anyone that actually does like it. Like, I'm an introvert, but I do not want to spend my entire life by myself. I'm very happily married, as you guys can kind of tell from some of my videos, especially when I talk about my husband. You can tell that I maybe don't completely like being on my own. And for Queenie, who has only ever had her sister from the time they were kids, and suddenly not have her, I mean, she would want a family member, because to her, having at least one family member means the world to her. I know I keep saying a lot. Eventually I will get better about that. Not sure when, though. There I go again. She may not necessarily care how that person is related to her, so maybe like the easiest way for her to do that, to have a family member, would be to enchant Jacob and run off to London to get married. Just so that she would know that she would have at least one person that she could count on to be there. I know that I'm using family kind of like in a bad sense of the word now, because Tina was that for Queenie and now she's not. But, yeah. I'm looking at all my notes. Just give me a second. Okay. Yeah, and that just brings me back to the rally at the end of the movie. I don't think Queenie likes being alone. I think she is very much of an extrovert. She likes being surrounded by people. And she doesn't want to feel like she's alone in the world. And that is something very difficult to deal with, feeling like you are alone in whatever you're dealing with. Then Grindelwald came in, trying to be sympathetic to her, and of course, that really got to her. I mean, trying to think how to word this, because in my notes, all I've got is the bullet points of what I wanted to talk about. I don't like have an actual script, I just have my notes. If you're wondering how I go about this. And I kind of did my notes backwards, so I'm going from the bottom of the page up. I don't know why I did that, but I did. But yeah, I mean, she was so happy when she and Jacob met back up in Paris. She apologized. She really seemed like she was sorry for doing what she did. And she did try and catch back up with Newt and Jacob. I think if Newt had actually stopped for food, that maybe she wouldn't have ended up joining Grindelwald. Because she would have been able to catch up with Newt and Jacob. Yeah. And that's a point that I made to one of my friends in the Discord server. We were talking about this just last night. But yeah. I feel so sorry for Queenie. She feels so lonely and scared. I mean, she went to the French ministry to try and find Tina, and they didn't have her under Tina. So I don't know if, one, Tina went off on her own mission, or two, she wasn't under Tina, but under Porpentina, her actual legal name, because of work. Um, I have worked some places that, at least on the application, the official paperwork, they didn't ask like preferred name. Of course, this was like a few years ago, so things were a little bit different. So maybe that was the case of, oh, we don't have record of what she likes to be called, but we do have record of her actual legal name, and maybe that's what she has to go by for work. I don't know. But when Queenie couldn't locate Tina, when she didn't know where Tina was or how to get a hold of her, she seemed to get really, really scared. And, I mean, that was kind of like where what I'm taking as an anxiety attack happened, or started to happen. And I do feel like Rosier probably followed Queenie. I mean, Vinda had just left the French ministry, and then all of a sudden, Queenie's running through the streets, and she sits down crying. Please excuse the dog downstairs from barking. I don't know what's going on, but it barks at literally everything. Hey, I'm gonna have like a really long video this time. Yay me! But I mean, Vinda seemed to find her pretty quick, and I don't really know what's up with that. I mean, it couldn't have been a coincidence. It really couldn't have. Like I said, scratchy throat. Yay. Anyway, that is all I've got on Queenie. I think next week I'm gonna do Theseus. I'm not really sure, but I really do like Theseus. We don't get to see a whole lot of him, and I like doing these character studies. It is really fun. I am still using my crappy webcam, and I'm going to explain why. So, fun story. You know how last week I said that I'd made several attempts to film and upload my Lita Lestrange video before actually succeeding? Well, yeah. So I went to uninstall my editing software because I thought, oh, it probably just needs to be uninstalled and reinstalled. That usually fixes the problem, like taking the battery out of your phone and putting it back in. Turn it off and turn it back on again. Yeah. Well, silly me, didn't realize that I needed the installation code. I'd forgotten there was an installation code with the disc, and I can't find the installation code. So, for a few weeks at least, I am going to be doing these wonderful webcam videos without being edited, because I don't have any editing software at this time. I do have a full-time job now, so who knows what my schedule is going to be. It's not like a set 9 to 5 thing like my last job was. I am going to be working at a restaurant, so I mean, restaurant work, it can be kind of iffy. Although they did say it would be daytime, because at night and in the evenings they have a lot of high schoolers that work there. So, I mean, that leaves the daytime for the adults out of school. So, yeah. I don't know what my schedule is going to be like, and I don't know when I'm going to actually have like decent quality videos. I do want to get the Adobe Premiere software, but I mean, Adobe is uber expensive, but at the same time it's like industry standard, some of the best software you can get, I guess. So that's what I'm probably gonna do. Trying to think. But I think that is everything. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my commentary on Queenie. And I am looking forward to doing my next video. So thanks for watching.